There we go. We're here. Woo! Let's hope we're not echoing or anything. Good to go. I think.
How's it going, everybody?
Yeah, there we go. I can see everybody now. Woo!
All right, good deal.
All right. It's been 2 days now. We've had a whole bunch. Philly screwed up is the first thing that came up here. Uh,
It's all good, man. It's all good.
okay. Why don't you think why you don't think that was a great deal? I hope you're being sarcastic. Anyways, Steel is in the house. How you doing, my friend?
Oh man, I'm doing. Oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about. Are you kidding?
Yeah,
How could I not be on the Great Pearlo Wisdom Show? Especially after he was the guest on the Off the Wall Hockey Show for the game against Edmonton and the Capitals the other night,
yeah.
man. That was awesome stream, dude. That was awesome.
That was really good. I love doing stuff with John. I'm going to be doing one Sunday night with him too.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, dude. I'm gonna probably start swinging on some of those games too here with him too.
Nice. Yeah, and then
Yeah, man.
Peyton's been really busy, but we're usually doing more with him too. We did one before that. Oh, we got a lag going on here. Hopefully it goes away.
Oh,
Usually
hopefully.
when I do it this way, it doesn't lag. Well, we'll see if it's
Oh, really?
usually, but it looks like it's lagging here. I don't know why it's so laggy. Just wait. I'll see if I can see.
Probably. Who knows? Probably me. So how you been, man? How are things going? How's everything happening here, man?
It's going good. I've been watching a lot. I've been watching quite a bit of hockey. I'm finding a lot of things interesting in the NHL right now. Especially, I'm fascinated with Vegas, but everybody's going to want to talk about it because I haven't talked about it yet. We got to talk about the Ristolainen move. Uh, it's super laggy. It's
Yeah.
not working, dude.
Oh no.
hmm Don't know why.
Like you sound really muffled.
I don't have any apps running. Nothing at all.
I'm trying to make sure I don't have anything running either. Is that any better?
Let me take a whole bunch of stuff out of here that I do have, which isn't too much, but I don't see it changing anything. Yeah, I know what it could be. Just wait. There, let's see if that works. Now it's clearing up. Okay, good. Good, good, good.
Good deal.
Okay, hopefully it is. Some. I think it will now. I have a feeling that my wife had something in the background.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I
Can't be
went
having
I
that now.
went and canceled it all out of there. So hopefully that's gonna be better now. But
Okay.
the Risto deal is what, 5 million for how many years?
5.
5 years.
Yeah.
I
You don't like that deal?
no, I don't I don't
Oh, come
I
on.
don't like
What do you mean you don't like that
I didn't
deal?
like anything about the deal to begin with. I don't know what else they could do to tell you the honest truth once they put themselves in that situation. I think they really just had to cross their fingers and hope. Like
I
they
mean,
gotta hope he comes. Okay, now it's good. Yeah, they just gotta hope that Risto becomes like possibly like a Good Branson in Calgary, like what happened there. Like he was sort of like Ristolainen for most of his career in Florida and all of
Yeah.
that, and then he goes to Calgary and he hits it out of the park. But we don't really have a
Yeah.
Sutter coaching us either. So
So okay, that's where that's where I think is going to be the biggest issue right there, because I don't feel that Ristolainen had very good coaching when he was in Buffalo, and frankly, he hasn't had very good coaching since he's been here in Philadelphia either. Okay, I mean let's face the facts here. Okay, and he was never gonna be a number one or a top two, 1-2 defenseman. He was always going to be in that bottom part, like second line defense, second penalty kill, second team. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? And I'll tell you what, I'll be real honest with you. He would have been a really expensive rental if they wouldn't have re-signed
that's
him,
the thing.
because they gave up a first-round draft pick and the rest of the farm for Ristolainen. So, I mean, you tell me what they had to re-sign him. That would have been the biggest faux pas. That would have probably have gotten Chuck Fletcher fired.
Well, I mean, I don't know what was out there to get for him either, but more than likely they had no choice but to do it now. It's just once you make a blunder like that, you, you just now they got to now once they made that blunder, now they just got to keep on rolling with it and hope they can turn him into a decent defenseman, which he is not, and that's the problem. He's not. He's not a good defenseman. So he still is not. He's better than last
Right.
year, I guess. I mean, he's not
Well,
a good defenseman.
his I will say this, from watching his game now for you know the better part of 6 months, uh, hasn't been. I've seen improvements, I've seen flashes, but here's what I see. I see a guy that's coachable.
Yeah.
He may not be the best guy on the planet as far as offensively, but I think if he had the right coach and he was put in the right situation, I think he could flourish as a shutdown defenseman.
One or the other, maybe. I don't know about flourish, but we'll see. But maybe
I
you're a
mean,
little more positive than I am about it. But
I am, because I've seen a lot more of him.
yeah, I will.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, like I
I've
said,
seen a
I
lot
never
more of
thought
him.
Gudbranson would be as good as he is today, right now, at this
Well,
moment.
let's
So,
see. There you
so
go.
I'm saying that it's possible that he could get Gudbranson like, but I mean, that was Daryl Sutter. I mean, the guy turns mud into gold over and over again. He's always done it his whole career. So, I
Exactly.
yeah, if you can find another Daryl Sutter out there, I think they can. I mean, it's fine. Like look at and I always forget Turney in Arizona. That guy's a bloody genius. Like they plucked him. I knew he was in the world. He coached the World Juniors and stuff like
Right.
that. But I mean,
Right.
if there's a lot of things about hockey I can see because I watch, but I don't know like how the coaches are doing in the Western Hockey League and all that. I don't have time to know all that part. But he is an absolute unbelievable coach. Like I just can't. I don't think. I seriously. I don't think I've ever seen a coach know how to teach his players how to play the opposition as well as he does in ever. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
He's incredible. And I was
Yeah.
propping up Dean Evison last year, and Daryl Sutter's an amazing coach for different reasons. But that one
Yeah.
aspect of tyranny, it's those guys know exactly what to do against the opposition every time. It's
Right.
amazing. But and he's getting a lot out of his players and stuff like that. So there's got to be guys out there that are able to do something like that. And I think that's what Risto needs. He needs a magician like coach and development team. And we've already talked ad nauseum about how we're not very confident in Philadelphia's development team. So,
Not at all. In fact, they need to be completely and utterly replaced, if you ask me. Okay, what do I know, right? Gosh, I've only been watching this team now since 1993, but I don't know anything about Philadelphia. No.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I didn't like the move to begin with. And I still don't like the fact that they just got to keep on possibly burying. It's just too risky, way too risky.
See, that's the key phrase that you just said right there, my friend.
Like
the fact that they made that move to begin with. I don't understand why you would do that. I just don't understand that. That does not make any sense to me at all. It does not make any sense. No. And then you continually perpetuate it by then either re-signing him or not getting anything back for him in any kind of trades or anything else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I know. They're talking about, did you watch Peyton's rant over the Oilers-Canadiens game? I mean, that's just one of many rants. It's the reason why I'm on with Peyton, man. When he goes off, it is freaking gold. It's beautiful.
I mean, that vein that sticks out. I'm sorry. I just like watching the vein. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Look, Peyton is the man, and I love watching Peyton. He has a great passion for the game and a great passion for the Oilers. And when you guys get together and do your streams, man, they are some firecracking fireworks that are all that in a bag of freaking hot rocks, man.
I'm just there as a fan like everybody else is, and we want
right.
That's really why I'm there. And of course, watching Oilers broadcast, he's going to lose it. I almost want the Oilers to never be good, just so I can continually watch him lose his mind every time he does.
Yes. I'm sorry. I have to admit to that too.
It doesn't happen as often with John, but have you ever seen John go off? It is a thing of beauty too. It is unbelievable. And he's doing a Boston broadcast.
I'm sorry. It's so worth it. It is so worth it to tune in to watch Peyton go off, and then to watch John go off. Oh my gosh,
man!
When
John goes off, it's almost I wouldn't say better, but it doesn't happen as much. So
no,
but when he does,
but when when it does, yeah,
he threw his sweater across. I was doing he took his Boston sweater off and he threw it across the room and freaking oh my god. And he could, one of those times when you're trying to do something out of frustration, and because of that, nothing seems to work. So, he couldn't get it off.
Exactly.
He was fighting with it. I wish I could have freaking knew how to capture that and just have it. I know. It would have been awesome to do.
I know, right? That was so cool watching him do that.
You get to watch it all the time. So if you haven't already subbed up to Peyton on the radio,
for sure. And if you haven't subbed up to the great Pearlo wisdom, man, what are you guys waiting for? Seriously, this guy is the main man, pots and pans. Come on now. He's the one. He's the Frolic. He's the main man. You got to get the Frolic. Right?
Okay, so talking about going off, there was a lot of going off last night. If you knew about, there was Matthews with the ref, Landeskog, and I think both of them had a very good point, the reffing, and I'm usually backing the ref quite a bit, but last night the reffing in the Leafs game and the Colorado game was atrocious, absolutely atrocious.
I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because I imagine that we'll probably be touching on this tonight on Off the Wall Hockey with John from Off the Wall Hockey, because this is the game of the week for me to watch. Was this past week. This game here was my game of the week to watch.
Okay. Yeah.
was the Arizona Toronto game, because first of all, Arizona comes out to three unanswered goals. You're like, wait a minute, isn't this Toronto we're talking about
It's also
here?
Mrazek.
Hey man. Anyway, so and then Toronto gets one back, and you're like, all right, cool. And then next thing you know, it was like 4-1, and you're like, geez, really? Arizona against Toronto? Okay. And then Toronto just comes back in the third with three unanswered goals. It was like, well, gosh, okay. I guess these guys are for real. You know what I mean? And so I I saw that play, and I gotta tell you, man, that was clearly a penalty and clearly should have been called.
That one play, yeah. But
But at the end in overtime there, or is that when it was? When it was in overtime?
yeah,
When the penalty happened, and then the Arizona player was able to go down there and score and win the game, and that should have clearly have been a penalty to Matthews as well, or to Matthews. You know what I mean? So I hate when black and whites decide the games.
well, yeah, and this is the thing that I think a lot of times we think of referees deciding the games by calling too much. But do you know that? Sorry to stomp on you there for a second, but did you know that last night there was only one penalty in that game, and it was too many men on the ice penalty. One
Yeah,
penalty in that whole
yeah,
game,
yeah.
and there was like 63 hits. So it's not like this was a. It's not like this was a bore fest. Like these people, they were
Yeah, no,
playing.
I'm with you.
You telling me there's only one penalty in that whole game? And
Right.
I'm going to
No.
let you continue, and I have a theory about that because I've seen it a couple times this year with Arizona.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Because I'm here to tell you that's the other thing that kind of blew me away too, was that there was only one penalty, and it wasn't like a physical penalty. And I'm here to tell you, this was a chippy game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, there were like splash hits and all. I mean, this was a chippy outright. I mean, this was kind of a nasty game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was physical. It was like they were playing hard. There's no doubt about that. Remember I
Right.
said about Turney, he knows what to do against each team. And if you're going to play Toronto and you're going to win, play physical against them because they don't have much in that lineup to push back, right?
Right.
And that's what they did.
And that's what's the surprising part. You know what I mean? And well, okay, look. So what's the answer? How do you fix it? And you talked about the other game, the Colorado game. I didn't see that one.
Okay, well, I will talk about that, but I'll give you my theory.
Please.
It's a theory. It's straight up.
Yeah.
The league is making it easier for Arizona to win for whatever reason. There's two reasons for that. One, it's saving the franchise to a certain extent. Two, they just got into the betting world this year, and I would not be surprised. I mean, these are very powerful people, and if they didn't have help, I don't think Arizona wins half the games they do, and somebody is losing their shirts. Uh, that's what I'm shocked. I know one thing, it's happening. I don't know. I can't say exactly why it's happening, but it happened in an LA game I saw. Colorado, when they played them, the first time they played them, they were putting their hands up in the air, just going, "Yeah, okay, you want them to win. I get it." You could tell. Like you could tell. The players could tell, and Toronto now. Okay, we just talked about it. If Arizona is going to beat Toronto, the best way they're going to beat them is if there's no penalties called.
Yeah, because Toronto has
The crazy power play, right? You put Toronto on the
yeah.
power play against Arizona, they're done. So
Yeah.
instead of making bad calls for Arizona and putting Arizona on the power play to look really bad, just
Yeah.
don't call anything, and Arizona's got a bigger advantage. So, and that's what happened, man. I didn't watch the whole game last night, but there was like on both sides, you're not calling that. It was ridiculous, ridiculous.
It was pretty ridiculous, the calls that they weren't making. Like, look, I'm so completely and utterly jaded because of the team that I follow. So I automatically look at the referees with a critical eye to begin with, even though I have deep respect for them because they have one of the toughest jobs in all of sports.
Even tougher now when they're
because
told
let's
to throw
face it.
games.
Well, hey, okay. I mean, I can't confirm or anything like that. I mean, I don't know any of that kind of stuff.
I
That's
said
not what I'm
when,
talking
how
about.
if, but it seems obvious that I can't explain it any other way.
No, I get what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying, and I get it. Okay, and I'm also kind of partial to seeing how certain teams get certain treatments during certain games, especially like towards the end of a period or the end of a game, and especially if the games are close. And suddenly, after no penalties being called for a period, suddenly now there's a period, where a certain team gets a power play at the end of the game or the last 2 minutes of the game. They get a power play.
Happens.
Like, that's too much of a coinky-dink, if you ask me.
That being said, like quite often teams get back on their heels because and they're going to hold more and stuff like that. I kind of, it's going to happen more often in that spot, but it seems to happen an awful lot for sure.
I mean, that's kind of, I get what you're saying though, you know what I mean? But that's kind of where I'm at with that. You know what I'm saying? I see what you're saying, but I still think that there's, to some extent, I have to agree with you because I've seen games decided by the black and whites.
Arizona, it's been consistent all year. It's been consistent.
Okay, I don't know that because I haven't watched enough of the Arizona games. Okay, so that's why I can't really say that because I don't have that kind of.
Let me put it this way:
knowledge of the Arizona games.
To win last night. I had Arizona to win.
Wow.
Last night. And the reason why I had Arizona to win last night is I didn't know what they were going to do, but this was a heavily televised program, and
it was on the national TV.
They wanted to give Arizona every chance to win that game last night because people get to see Arizona for Arizona promotion. I don't know what the reason is, but I picked Arizona last night to win. So, and that was
okay.
specifically because I have watched a lot of Arizona. And I knew that if they were going to do like what they have done, and there's a likelihood in that game because it's nationally televised that they will, that Arizona will likely win that game. Also, Peter Mrazek is an absolute horrible goaltender. So, between the two of those. So. Anyways, the Colorado one I won't go too far into. But just if you go on YouTube and you just see, I don't know why that one would be. Because it's Colorado, or it was Colorado versus, not Calgary. Who was it last night? Bring it up.
Wait, hold on.
I thought I already had it up here,
but who was Colorado played? Oh, Hurricanes.
Yeah, Hurricanes.
2-1 or 2-0. Yeah, They lost to
Right.
the
Now
Hurricanes
the
yesterday,
Hurricanes
2 to
in a
nothing.
way deserved to win that game, but that was just like, I don't know. That might have been just a referee having a really bad night. And anyways, Landeskog came out. Joe Rogan had him in reg. Holy smokes, Arizona! Wow. Uh, in regulation, that's crazy. I have. Yeah, anyways, um, there could be a plus spot for that too because again, Carolina is a small market, but Landeskog came out and this is the thing. Landeskog you never hear Landeskog on the ice or
Say
anything
anything.
talk about the
Yeah.
refs. Even on the ice, he doesn't complain to the
Yeah.
refs. He may talk to the refs
No.
diplomatically, whatever,
Yeah, because he's the
but
captain.
last night after the game, he even said, like, I never talk about the refs or anything, but I got to say this. That was, and he got ejected. You know what he got ejected for? Telling the referee, who I can't remember his name now because I don't care about referees' names, but it's one of the veteran guys that have been around like and
Yeah.
Landeskog said all he said to him was, "You're having a bad night tonight." That's it. And he got thrown out of the game. What? Like you hear the guys chirping at the refs all the time sometimes when they're angry. Like Matthews, when he was yelling at the ref there for the interference call, which was obviously an interference call, he didn't get ejected. All he said was, "You're having a
Obviously.
bad night tonight."
Right.
That's it. Like, that is insane. So I don't know. But anyways, I wanted to talk about that a little bit. The other thing we got to
I
talk
get it.
with the other game we got to get on in because we've had a lot of comments in the comment section about it. And the big game and I got a lot to talk about this. So first of all,
All right.
I'm gonna have to admit I was wrong. So first, and then I'm
Whoa.
gonna go on with
Whoa.
some.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Wait a minute. Wait. Hold on. We're not talking about Boston here, are we?
no, we're
Okay.
talking about the Vegas Buffalo game. And
Yes.
I'm going to celebrate a person that one of the Hall of Fame Pearlo in the Pearlo Hall of Fame, Lauren Darkin. He's been
Yep.
with us right from the time I had nobody. He called it and said that Vegas was going to be crap when they got Eichel. And I was like, looking at his talent and the organization, I thought Eichel would be able to adjust or whatever. I never really saw Eichel's personality in Buffalo. I never saw really his personality in Buffalo. But in
Right.
Vegas now, Lauren is absolutely right. This kid is a spoiled brat, arrogant jerk. Period.
Okay.
If you
Well,
okay,
geez.
so I'm sorry, but that's okay. Let me put it this way.
No.
Let me put it
No.
this way.
It's all
Let me
right.
put it this way. The perception he has given since going to Vegas is
Yeah.
that. Okay, I don't know behind the scenes. I don't know him personally or whatever the case may be. But yes, he got booed every time he touched the puck last night. He got booed all the
Yeah,
way
I saw that.
through. All that.
Yeah.
You got to. That just happens, right? That happens. And his
Well.
reaction afterwards, talking to the
Okay.
media, he
Okay.
said, he said this, and this is just one of the things he said. He goes, "Why they were booing me on the ice? I guess they just wish I was still here."
No, maybe not.
What? I mean,
Yeah, maybe
dude,
not.
ever since he got into Vegas, Vegas has not been winning worth a darn. Buffalo didn't win when he was there, and
Yeah,
even
but Vegas wasn't okay. But Vegas is not winning, not just because Jack Eichel's there.
ever since he started playing, okay, first I chalked it up to, okay, there's going to be some chemistry issues, and there still might be. But watching them play now, I get the impression that there's more to it than that.
Really? Because I don't see that.
Oh, really? Okay. What do you see?
I mean, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that many games with Eichel in a Vegas uniform yet, so I can't really judge that. I mean, he looked really good the other night against Philly, and they had some pretty good chemistry that night, right? And maybe it was just an off night. He was in Buffalo. He used to play there. They were the team that drafted him, blah, blah, blah. It didn't end well there for him. It was a very sour note. You know what I mean? Like he tried to get some kind of medical procedure, and the team was like, no. And, the whole 9 yards and that whole fiasco that went down, that's why he got booed. They're not booing him because they think he wants to still be there. They booed him because he's not there.
They booed him because
You know?
he left. The way he did,
Yeah.
the way he well, it was it was supposedly a medical issue. They booed him because it's the perception that he gave up on the team and all that kind of stuff like that. And that
Okay, well,
fans could have
let me ask you a
and
question.
people just have fun booing. Like
Oh, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. But let me ask you a question, right? Put yourself in his skates, right? You are considered, I mean, you're getting paid $10 million a year. You're considered one of the elite forwards in the game. Okay. And you have an injury that is, that is preventing you from being out on the ice and playing. Now, you have done everything in your power to try to correct that situation. And then the team has a different opinion. So that is what's going on here. Look,
and there's another
it is
thing.
none of our
There's another
business.
thing he said too. You're right. Sorry, before you go on that, he said
No, go ahead.
that's the loudest I've heard this place.
Yeah.
So in other words, he's ribbing the fans of Buffalo, saying that's so. In other words, they were quiet at the time that they were there. Well, yeah, they were quiet.
Well, they never showed up.
Well, they were.
There was hardly anybody in the
They
building.
were quiet when they were there because the team sucked. And I was a backer of Eichel, and I said he's going to be a 100-point player when he goes to Vegas, and all of those sort of things like that. I don't know how well they masked it, but ever since I've seen him, the only time I can say that I had my issues, and also there's a thing about we'll get into McDavid on this too. When he got drafted, I kind of got that impression at the draft, but he's a super young kid at the time, right? So he needed to mature and all that kind of stuff like that. But the rumblings in Buffalo were exactly what I am seeing now, is that he was an arrogant guy. He talked down to his teammates, and all that kind of stuff like that. That's what and I thought it was just rumors or whatever, because I hadn't actually seen it. But I'm starting to see a side of Eichel where I can almost believe it now.
Okay. Well, like I said, I have not seen enough, so I can't make that assessment. And if that's how you feel, you're entitled to that opinion and all that. You know what I mean? I have not seen enough of that to make a judgment call on that.
Yeah.
Okay. But what I can say is this. All right. He very well may be that particular type of a person because of how he was treated in Buffalo. You don't treat somebody like that, pay him that much money, and then when they want to go get a procedure, you buck them on it.
I have a theory on that too.
Well, no, but so
I have a theory on
you
that.
You got to come to some kind of a decision here. What's going to be best for the player medically? Who gives a crap about the team? Who cares if the guy can still play or not? What's the best thing for him medically?
Well, let's look at it from this perspective. I have a theory about this too. And I was actually
I'm sure.
I was in this when the whole situation was going on.
Yeah.
I was saying this when it was going on. When I heard the rumblings of the way he talked and acted or whatever to the people on the team and stuff like that, his teammates, which Taylor Hall got in Edmonton too. Okay. I had a theory that you've got sponsors, right? I talk about sponsors all the time. We have sponsors. They have sponsors. And it's becoming quite apparent that it's not going to work with Eichel. Okay, his attitude or whatever you may think, and it's just not going to work. If you come out and say, as an organization, if you have sponsors that are paying the bills, keeping the lights on, all those sort of things like that, if you come out and say that we're going to trade Eichel because you try to, it's hard to spin it because you can't just come out and say, yeah, Eichel's really doesn't have a great attitude. You can't say that. You can't, because then you decrease the value of him. And it makes you look really, 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 really bad that all of this has happened. And sponsors, all they know is people come to see Eichel because he's a superstar. Now, if you do it because you have a medical issue, an insurance issue, now all of a sudden you can go to sponsors and say, look, we want to keep him, but we have this insurance issue for the type of surgery he wants and all that stuff like that. I just can't do it. I mean, we can't take that risk.
Well, they should have thought about that before they paid him $10 million.
Well,
Okay, sorry.
They didn't know that at the beginning. And you know, they wanted to
No,
keep
I
on
know.
going. They pinned their hopes on Eichel all the way through, and they sold this to sponsors. We have a superstar in Jack Eichel, and no. And now we're going to be like, oh yeah, remember that superstar we sold you on? Yeah, we're going to trade him now. You see,
What?
it was a, yeah, exactly. It was a super dicey situation, and I think they kind of found a loophole in the insurance thing to have this happen the way it did. I was saying it at the time. It wouldn't surprise me that that was the case, and we'll see going forward how it's going to work out in Vegas. But my take on it right now is Vegas doesn't make the playoffs. That's my first take. I don't think Vegas is going to make the playoffs. And secondly, this is going to start rearing its ugly head in Vegas as well. We'll see.
Is the whole Jack Eichel thing.
His attitude and all that kind of stuff like that. They're going to have the same struggles. If you've got a guy that thinks leadership is talking down to people and, you know, them not winning, blaming everybody in the room and calling them out all the time and all that kind of stuff like that, it is brutal for the chemistry of a team. So we'll see what Vegas does in the future. But I heard all those rumblings and some of the things I'm seeing from them now,
yeah. I haven't seen any of those things. I didn't know enough about him. I wasn't paying enough attention to what was going on with him. All I saw was this $10 million a year player who supposedly could score and was a pretty decent player and had this big neck issue that nobody wanted to have him get this procedure done except for him. He has the procedure done and now he's back playing. So I guess Buffalo was wrong.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. I mean, he's playing for Vegas. I mean, he's not, lighting it up or anything like that, but he's playing for him.
Give him some time. I'm sure he'll get better as a player, but we'll see.
And see, that's the other thing too. He is still coming back from his major surgery, a major procedure to your back. You know what I'm saying? And just because doctors say you can do something doesn't necessarily mean that you should be doing something, at least for a little while. I mean, you know what I'm saying? This guy had a procedure done to a very important area of his body, and I'm not expecting to see him do much of Jack Eichel anything this year, to be honest with you. And I'm actually shocked that he's on the ice this year.
I'm not, because
you must know the truth.
I'm not, because the doctor said that he would. That's not. I'm not shocked by that. But what I'm saying with we got Bill has a really good point. We got to bring up too, Bill. I'll ask you about.
Bill always has great points.
Yeah, they all do. They're freaking awesome.
I'm telling you.
Vegas has not been the same team since I watch, like you, divorce-worthy amount of hockey. Vegas has not been
You're the one that said that, not
the
me.
energy of that team is not good right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
and this could be not even Eichel's fault possibly, but when there's a idea
Well,
that
they're missing
why
a lot of guys.
well yeah they are, but even without those guys, because Patch and Stone were out and they were still winning, they were playing hard, they were playing fast, they were playing a great system, all that stuff like that. Eichel comes in, the energy of this team has not been great. And I think part of it is because you've got this savior complex coming in. Like, why do we need this guy? We're doing great. You're going to give up Tucker? Tuck? I mean, Tuck is amazing. I love Tuck. It was a beautiful move getting Tuck in that for Buffalo. I thought that was fantastic.
I know. I know.
Right? You're going to give up, they're friends and close and they have this knit, and now you're just going to bring this guy in. And then, if this is true, he comes in like this arrogant, okay, yeah, whatever, looking down on people attitude. Holy crap. You know how much that would change everything in a place? Like, it would just take the wind out of everybody. Like, oh no, what are we going to do here?
Yeah.
So, anyways, so
I get what you're saying.
Bill.
Okay. And I understand that. I really do, because how could you not look at a team and go, well, gosh. But then now let's try to look at some of the things that's going on here too. Okay. Like I said before, that Jack Eichel is, coming back from a major issue medically, the whole 9 yards. The fact that they've been missing not just, bottom six guys or, bottom defensemen. They're missing top guys. And they've been missing top guys all year. Yes, they have found ways to win with their call-ups. Okay. But I think that the amount of game man's lost, or game man, whatever that stat is, of number of games that they've lost because of injury, is starting to pile up on Vegas. And they're not getting the players back in a quick enough time period to catch up. And everybody else around them is getting better, like the Colorados, like the Calgarys, like the LA Kings. You know what I'm saying?
I understand that they're losing. It's how they're losing that's
right. No, I get you. I
no
get you, because
fight.
the energy of the room is not there.
There's no fight in that team right now.
I agree. I seen it even when they won against Philly.
Yeah.
Okay, but still, I think it has a lot to do with the guys not there.
I think it has to do with it, but the underlying thing with me, it's like in Philly. You bring up Philly as well. I mean, I can handle losing, but when you lose and you're not showing fight while you're losing,
or you're showing up or whatever.
Columbus has become like that now too. The last there's no fight. They lost 6-0 to the Islanders, and it looked like they didn't care at all. I want to see people being angry that you're losing. I'd rather take a 5-minute major and jump somebody or whatever. Just be mad, just be angry. Really, when it comes down to it, hockey is an angry game. When I do selections to pick who's going to win a game, the first thing I ask to myself is which team is going to be angry here.
Yeah.
If there's an angry team, I'll take that team, even if it's a dog. And
okay,
you know what I mean? So and I see nothing in that in Vegas. I'm taking Pittsburgh tonight. I don't even think Pittsburgh's going to be all that angry. It's just Vegas is so not angry right now. They are so there's so no energy in their game at all. Like in that Buffalo game, did they look like they were playing for Eichel in Buffalo? No. This should have been, we got to play for our guy here. He's going back home. We got to be Nothing.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. That's why I said I understand and I agree with the whole lack of energy in the room. But I still think that it's because of guys missing. Look, let's also face some facts here too. The teams around Vegas have gotten better. Calgary, LA, you know, let's face that fact. Okay, you can't just say it's all just the fact that Buffalo or that Vegas is losing, which they are. But you can't lose in the division that they're in much and not expect to just suddenly drop out of contention because all the teams in and around you are all fighting and scrapping and playing well. Calgary's been playing really well. Colorado's been playing really well. I mean, you know what I mean? All of these teams around them have been playing well. And that's not boding well for Vegas.
Well, they've been,
You know what I
and
mean?
those teams like if you watch that Calgary Colorado game, and actually, if we're going to
Yeah.
go there, I'll even say I have the same issue with Colorado.
Yeah.
Colorado has all the talent in the world, but there's not enough anger on that team. And Landeskog last night, thank God, came out and did it. And that's the reason why I had Carolina all day last night. I had Carolina
Yeah.
all day because I don't see Colorado as a team that is playing uh, with anger, with intensity or anything like that. They're trying to survive on their skill. But talking about anger, I want to get to this because Bill's in there. And he said it talked about Marc-Andre Fleury in Chicago, and he brought up that he was pretty pissed at the Chicago defense. That's not the first time, but I want to. What do you think about Fleury in Chicago? Do you think how likely do you think he's going to be there at the deadline?
It depends on what they can get for him. Because quite frankly, if they can get stuff for him, why wouldn't you? You would be fools not to.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's on the back end of his career. Okay, seriously. He's not going to be one of those kind of guys that's going to stick around for a rebuild, which is what Chicago's kind of in the midst of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or what they've been in the midst of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, if he wants to stay in Chicago, hey man, more power to him. I think that if the offer comes good, he'll be gone.
I don't.
Quite frankly.
Fleury will never say publicly that
Right.
he'll never. He's too nice of a guy. He doesn't want to
Exactly.
hurt those kids' feelings out there and all that.
I
He will
know, and
never say
that's
that.
that's the cool thing about
My
him
favorite player in the
is
NHL.
that he won't say anything because what he says is, broadcast out in the media and Twitter world and, the whole shebang, right? Well, so now that's stuff that is exactly what you said. His teammates are now going to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So Fleury's given up on us and he's ready to jump ship already. You know what I mean? That's not even at the end of the season yet, and we're still fighting and we're still clawing, and he's ready to jump ship already. So I get it. I'm with you, and he's never going to be that guy, and I'm glad to see that he isn't that guy, even though we all know that he's going to probably be moved.
I think so.
I mean, Chicago would be lunatics to not accept some kind of something. I mean, okay, let me put it to you this, Pearlo. Trade deadline comes and Chicago puts Fleury on the block. What's the offer have to be?
Okay, well, I'll tell you that in a second, but we'll continue. Bill was saying that after the game, he got so pissy that he got up and walked out of the room. And to me, that is, I've seen it a couple times this year. Fleury is genuinely is the most competitive guy you could ever imagine. And when he's angry like that, it's not too often he gets angry at his defense, but it's usually at himself. But this year, that Chicago defense has been absolutely porous, and I think he's just fed up. He's just fed up. It's just you can't keep on making these terrible plays where you're not showing With Chicago, it's because they're not putting the physical effort in. That's the worst part, right?
See, and that's what I think is why he was upset, was because of that particular reason that you just pointed out right there, Perlo, that they weren't putting up that physical effort.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Look, I talk to a goaltender every week on a show on a weekly basis, Lance Green from the Hockey Writers Inc., and I'm going to tell you something, folks. Goaltenders are some of the most intelligent hockey players on the planet, because what do? They watch hockey for half of the game. The other half of the game, they're making saves, right? Because let's face it, the team is going to be on the other end of the ice for some part of the time, right? So you're watching. So when they watch and they tell you tendencies and stuff like that, you should listen, right? If your goaltender is trying to tell his defensive players, look, you played, Perlo, you know, you got to have that communication between the defender and the goaltender. Clearly, that's not happening there in Chicago for Fleury and his defenders.
No, and so they asked him why he let 4 goals in. Wow. I mean, I've watched a lot of Chicago this year because, I watch a lot of teams, but I specifically will watch Chicago because Fleury is my favorite player in the NHL.
Yeah.
And I want to see how he's doing at his age, and he's doing fine. Forget about his numbers; don't matter. The guy's stopping pucks like still being Fleury. But
when you see him do the saves that he's making on a nightly basis, hey man, he let in. I don't think he let in 4 goals. I think that the defense gave up on him and allowed those 4 goals to go in.
It was just it's been disgraceful in Chicago, the defense there. It's been absolutely porous. Only bordering on Philly and Edmonton as being worse.
I was just gonna say, is it right about that same level there as Philly?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because Carter Hart stands on his head he's the only reason why they're in games, and the Flyers just pee it away. You know what I'm saying? And Chicago seems to be doing the same thing.
It's just terrible. And it's not just it's a lot to do with the forwards. Like Patrick Kane, God love him, is a wonderful offensive player, but defensively he's an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
Taves has got to the point of his career where he can't be what he was before. And besides that, you got a bunch of kids that are just trying to figure it out. And then you got Jones, who's also not very good defensively. However, the rest of their defense on paper is very good. It's actually more the forwards not doing their job defensively than it is the actual defensemen.
Right, and being responsible.
Terrible. And when you got a leader like Kane, who isn't doing it, and really never has, how are the rest of them going to be able to? Which brings me to let everybody know that tonight, I don't know if it'll be tonight. Hopefully tonight I'll have a video out I just did about Chicago trading Patrick Kane. So watch out for that.
Wow, that would be serious frolic there. Holy smokes! It's going to be a
super tough trade. I don't even hardly know what it'll look like. So that's the reason why I did it, so I can kind of wrap my head around about it. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a lot of people going, no, and for good reason, because it's hard to put your finger on what the return could be, where he could go since he has a no movement clause, if he will go. What if Kane says he wants to stay in Chicago? Now you got to build around. You got to build with him somehow. It's just weird. Like I think that Davidson, their new general manager, is really going to have an intervention sit down with Kane, and it's really going to be about, hey, we know you have all the rights, you have everything to stay here, and we would love you to stay here, except we don't love you to stay here. It's going to be something like that. Like, we just can't have you here anymore. He's not a guy that you can build around. Like, those young guys watching a guy give up defensively all the time, not taking out anyone in the corners, flying the zone all day. You can't
Yep.
have that guy there. You just can't have him there now. Yeah.
I got
Uh,
you. And I'm with you. I agree with you 100%.
so yeah, but I mean, it's been tough in Chicago, man. It's like it's been tough for Fleury, period, and he's handled it like a champ, like he always does, right?
Yep. I mean, he's the consummate professional, you know?
Yeah. So for him
He's,
to do that, right? For
yeah,
Fleury to
yeah.
get up like that, have you ever seen him do that before?
Gosh, not really, because he never really had to do that when he was in
No.
Pittsburgh because there was other voices in the room. And he never really had to do that when he was in Vegas because they just were
He was a
winning.
hero in Vegas, yeah.
And he was a hero there. So, yeah, he didn't really have to do that there. Here, it's a whole different ball game here because he has to be the man.
Oh
You know, so that's a whole different set of responsibilities. That's a whole different set of pressures.
yeah,
Do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
And then the whole, look what happened in Chicago this year. My gosh, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
that whole
Yeah.
situation on top of it, and it's just frustrating. It's very it's for even it's so it tells you how frustrating it's been there when a guy like Fleury can get to the point where he did what he did last night. So anyways, you were
Yeah,
after
that
what the return is for Fleury. Well, like I said, I'm doing a. It's so difficult to say because he has a no movement clause. He can choose where he wants to go. Um,
yeah.
I did the. You can check out my trade video. I did one, and I didn't have one of the teams on there that I think could be one of the teams that decide to do it. Especially that's a Minnesota Wild because they're having goaltending issues themselves right now. Bill Guerin, the general manager of Minnesota, played with Fleury in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And so
Mm-hmm.
let's say you were to do something like that, and he comes out and says, I want to go to Minnesota because he talks to Bill Guerin and he's a good guy or whatever. And, for whatever reason, he decides he wants to go there. I already had Pittsburgh would be difficult, but that was my choice to begin in the year. But
Yeah, that's what I thought he was going to. I mean, I thought for sure that no matter what, he would still end up back in Pittsburgh.
I would do it if I was Pittsburgh. I don't think Jari's going to take you to the promised land, and they're in win now mode. So I would
Pretty
do it
much.
if I was Pittsburgh for sure, no doubt about it. If you can work it out some way, and I'm sure he would go back. I'm sure he would go back. So that would be one. But let's say they find out Pittsburgh is, and he's like, I'm going to Pittsburgh, and now all of a sudden you have no leverage at all. You're going to Pittsburgh. They already know they're going to Pittsburgh. Their only thing they can tell Pittsburgh is, well, we don't have to trade him. No, not really, because Fleury can just say, I'm going to Pittsburgh. Like, I don't want to stay here. And
Right.
what are you going to do? Just say, no, sorry, you got to stay here? So if that's the case, I think they get very little in return. Like, it wouldn't be much. Pittsburgh would hold the
Yeah, it doesn't.
cards totally. They're just getting rid of the cap space and washing their hands of that situation and moving on.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like exactly what they were looking for that. You know what I mean? I don't know what you could get for Fleury, to be
If you
honest
get
with
a
you,
couple
at this
teams
point.
involved, you might be able to get a first in something for them or something like that. Possibly.
Really? I mean,
Oh
really?
yeah, if you got a couple teams involved, you got to think Fleury. If people, I mean, scouts have been watching all year long. Like they know how amazing he still is. If you got like Colorado's having problems with Kemper and stuff, like it hasn't been talked about, but they really are. Kemper hasn't been fantastic this year. There's question marks where he can take you to the promised land. Minnesota for sure. If they think that they're a goaltender away, which I don't know that they are, but Fleury is a type of guy that maybe you are. Like we saw what Price did in Montreal, right? That team should never have made it that far. So if they decide to go that direction, Washington would be all over it. I mean, they're going nowhere in the playoffs, and they know it with their goaltending that they have right now. So if it opens up and there's several options, I bet you Washington throws them their first plus for that for sure. If other teams are in there offering stuff up, I could see it. But the thing is those teams can only be involved if Fleury says it's okay. He can go to like several different teams, and I don't think Fleury's going to do that. I think Fleury's going to pick a team that he thinks is going to be best for him and say, "I want to go there."
Why
and he
not?
has every
I
right to
mean,
after the way he's been treated so far in his career.
yeah, yeah, I'm with you on that one for sure. I would like to see him go somewhere, or he might be able to, raise the cup again. Maybe, who
I would
knows?
love Pittsburgh is the one that would be the best story, of course.
Okay, but so if Pittsburgh would be the best story, what would be the best fit?
I still say Pittsburgh. No, actually Washington.
Really?
Washington or Pittsburgh, yeah. Yeah, Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh needs to win right now. They got a team that could win, but their goaltending won't get them there in Jari. They have a team that can win, but their goaltending won't get them there. Jari is not going to get them there. I'm positive of that. And they could win it all with Fleury playing out of his head like we've seen him before. I think he would be the best fit. Jari would go back. And then they're also not going to be winning 2 years from now. They're going to be too old anyways. So they can find a goaltender after that. They got a 2-year window. Maybe Fleury can play there another year, give it another shot. I think Pittsburgh is the best fit. Besides that, Minnesota makes sense in the sense that, like, they got a fantastic parts to their team, and having Fleury just can fill in the holes. Having a great goaltender like that can fill in the holes. In Washington, you could do it there too, really.
Okay. I mean, I was just asking,
But
you know what I mean? Because
I think Pittsburgh would be the best fit. What do you think?
yeah, I see that, but I also see that he could potentially. I mean, depending on what they do in St. Louis, depending on what they do. I mean, depending on what happens with what's going on there with Bennington and Husa, depending on what's going on there, I don't know. Because
Husso, I think, is going to be their future.
Huso has been the one, and Bennington has kind of dropped off, so that might involve a trade there for that because they're kind of in win now mode too.
Yeah, maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
Could he come in and help Colorado?
Yeah, in Colorado. I mean, oh, sure. What am I talking about? The best fit. Yeah, Colorado, for sure. What am I talking about? Yeah, I've completely forgotten.
I've watched a lot of Colorado games this year and Florida games too. I've watched a lot of them too. Specifically, I've wanted to, purposefully watching these games. And I'll tell you what, you're right about Colorado and Darcy Kemper. He has not been the most consistent goaltender, and they need that type of goaltender back there because they've got the offense and they've got the defense.
Best defense in the league.
So all you need is some guy back there who can just stop the puck on a regular basis. I don't know what I was
thinking. Well, way to bring that up for sure. Colorado, if they got Fleury, it's over. It's over. Forget about it. Like, don't even bother doing the playoffs. Really, seriously, it would just be a disgrace.
Yeah, right. Just give them the cup.
An absolute disgrace, almost to like who would they play first? They play like who's in the first round would be just like it would be overwhelming for anybody that's looking at that lineup and going, "Oh my gosh, how the heck are we ever going to possibly beat this team?" It would be that would be disgusting. It would be like when they got Patrick Waugh back,
right?
Pretty much the same sort of thing. Might even if it was a better team back then because there was no cap. Because remember that team, that Bork, Forsberg, Sakic. Oh my gosh, it was.
Boy, do I remember that team! Oh my gosh,
team. Mike Ricci. That Sakic,
I know.
Forsberg and Mike Ricci top three might be the best top three of all time. That was insane. But I think they would play right now the Dallas Stars.
Well, yeah, but
there's no way they're beating Dallas Stars are beating that Colorado team with Fleury. Not. It's just.
Yeah, but I don't see that being a place for him.
I don't know.
Does that
I
make
don't know if he
sense?
would like. Let's put it this way: if his number one thing is to win another cup,
It ain't gonna be
that's the
Dallas.
one. Colorado,
It
Colorado,
ain't gonna be Dallas.
Colorado
Yep,
for sure. If
all
his
day.
heart's in Pittsburgh, that's
Yeah,
the one. But if his
then
number
go.
one thing is to win a cup in
Yeah,
Colorado with that
we trust.
bloody that defense,
Yep. Hmm.
he would be just like what a polar opposite from going from Chicago to Colorado. Oh my God, it'd be incredible.
I mean, at least it's still cold weather, so it's no big deal.
Yeah, so Mark Brown asked, wouldn't Kane be the same thing for Chicago? Yeah, they wouldn't have very good leverage as you looked in my video. The
Right?
only
Yeah.
thing I said that could say with Kane is it's possible that Kaner could give them a couple options. I think
Hmm.
after, I mean, not only has Kane did a lot for
Maybe.
Chicago, Chicago's did a lot for Kane. Like
Yep.
he had a difficult situation when he was younger and they backed him all the way. If you remember that.
Yeah, with some kind of
Yeah, I don't know,
assault or
something like that.
something like that. Yeah.
I mean, there is a little more of attachment there with Kane, where he could say, hate that he has to go, and actually want to help Chicago out. Because I could see Kane coming back to Chicago in some capacity down the road. Like that, he's a diehard. He loves Chicago. He loves the city. He's always going to be a Blackhawk no matter what you do. All that kind of stuff like that. So I could see him maybe giving him a couple teams that they could work with for, and maybe saying like because in that situation too, they're not looking for anything back uh, for
True.
their like they're probably gonna take half the salary. Like they're gonna retain half
Well,
the salary.
prorated,
They're,
whatever
it wouldn't
prorated
happen at
it's
the
going to be.
deadline,
Yeah.
I don't think. It would
Okay.
happen in the off season because they're going to have to sit down and talk to
Yeah.
him, and
Okay.
I just don't see it happen at the deadline. But they would retain half the salary and then try to get prospects and picks and not players, so the team doesn't that they don't weaken the team that he goes to.
Right.
And I have a couple teams that's possible that he could go to. It's possible that he doesn't identify one team and say I want to go there in Kane. So I think that there could be a little more leverage there. But Fleury, I just get the feeling that he was a diehard Pittsburgh guy, right? And they shunned him off for this young kid Murray. Told him, it's a cap
Yeah.
space problem, all that kind of stuff like that. Vegas also, I imagine, wooed him into coming and then basically threw him aside like nothing for Lehner. And I think to a
Yeah.
point, as nice of a guy he is, there has to be a point where, you know what, I got to take care of myself here. And I think that's where he's going to be in this spot.
Oh, how could you not be if you were him?
I don't know, man. I don't even think it's being nice anymore. When you got to you got to be nice to yourself to eventually. You can't be so nice that you just like what is. And his attachment to Chicago is what 1 year, so I could see him definitely doing that.
I Well, let's just say this. I can't wait to see what happens because I am like, this is the latest that the trade deadline has been, and there's not going to be a lot of time left after the trade deadline for any of the new players to get acclimated with their new teams. Do you know what I mean? And so I I like what Calgary did, man. I like the fact that they pulled the trigger like way early. Do you know what I mean? Because now Toffoli has time to be with them and get acclimated and learn the system, and then he doesn't have just a handful of games and then bang, you're in the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that had a lot to do with the fact that Montreal did something very good for Toffoli in that deal because Toffoli didn't go to Montreal to leave Montreal. He signed a 4-year deal
Right.
to be part of the organization and be there long term. He's got a family. That's another thing. Kaner doesn't have a family or kids and stuff like that. So It's going to be a little different for
Exactly.
him for where he chooses to go. Being a single guy, he can be a little more flexible. But Toffoli, they what they, Montreal's got to be very careful with how they treat somebody like Toffoli. High taxes in Montreal. You have the French Canadian aspect of it. Those are the two major things. It's a beautiful city. If you ever get a chance, I highly recommend it. If you ever go there,
Yeah,
you'll
yeah.
fall in love with it. Okay, but it's very high taxes, and they have a tough time getting people there. A lot of people like if people give them crap for taking French Canadian players all the time, like it's some sort of preference thing because they're French Canadian in the sense that French Canadians are better. No, that's not it. It's any French Canadians, people from Montreal. It's a religion there. They to play for Montreal is like the dream, right? So they're going to the money isn't the biggest factor for them. That's why they take French Canadians a lot. So Toffoli goes there, and now they're like they got to watch how they treat them because they got players to sign. They have other free agents they probably want to sign. And this was a bad situation to a guy. It wasn't really fair to Toffoli that this had to happen this way. So I think they went to him and said, "Where do you want to go?" And he just before they even finished, he just said, "Calgary, Calgary, Calgary," because he knows everybody in Calgary. Tanev, Markstrom played in Vancouver. There's a couple players that played in LA with him there. Sutter, he played with Sutter, right? In LA, it was perfect. It was a perfect fit. So he was like Calgary, 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 and they worked out a deal for him to go to Calgary, and there was no use waiting to see what kind of leverage you can get back from other teams because you got to take care of this player. That's what
Right.
I think happened.
I mean, that makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Sure. Makes sense to me as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? So I just think that with this whole like trade deadline being so late, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just would have done what Calgary did and just I would have moved sooner, I
Well,
guess.
other
I don't
teams
know.
want to, but
They
they
can't.
can't because these teams are holding out leverage with these players. They don't have to do that. Like we'll take a player there's other guys there that they didn't really mistreat all that much, like Petrie. Sherratt's on the end of his deal. They did stay out there the full term, right? So they're going to leverage those guys
Right.
to bring back
Right.
as much as they possibly can. It's just it was a bad. Toffoli just signed the deal pretty much. It just really looks bad. It looks bad, and if they don't take care of them, other free agents that might go to Montreal say, "Well, look what you did to Toffoli. Why would I want to go to Montreal?"
That's
Yeah,
true.
but other teams probably want to do that. What do you think?
Yeah.
What other teams like? Uh, what are the
Like that are going to try to make some moves this season?
yeah? What are the teams that would like that you think should do it now if they could do it now? Like what would you like to see get it done right away?
Well, we're past that window to be honest with you. Okay? Because the trade deadline is in 10 days. Okay? And I would have liked to have done something back um when Calgary did something. Cuz that was about a month ago almost now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Okay? So I would have much rather have done things back that far back because now it doesn't matter. You might as well wait till the trade deadline now because there's only 10 more days. And let's face it, there's some guys out there that like that might be reaching their 1000th game with the
Yeah.
team and it might not be a bad idea for him to see that game with that
Right.
team and then oh by the way, thanks, see ya.
Colorado's in on that too, apparently.
I know. Oh my gosh, could you imagine
Stupid.
Colorado with either Fleury or Giroux?
And forget about it. Fleury and Giroux. I don't know how they're winning that.
What would Colorado? Because see, here's the sticking point with Colorado. They don't have a number one draft pick this coming season or this coming draft,
Yeah.
right? So now what?
Well, they got tons of prospects and stuff,
Okay,
and young
so
players.
now you've got to pluck from the Colorado tree of prospect pools. Because I'm going to tell you something. If you're trading Fleury, you need somebody to put back on the ice from that trade.
You're going to want it, yeah, but like I said, you're not going to have much leverage. They will probably get Darcy Kemper.
But do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? You need to get somebody back in that trade that you can put on the ice for your team. That's just how it has to be. Same thing with Giroux. Same thing with Giroux.
Darcy Kemper in that deal.
Okay, well, there you go. That's a guy they can put on the ice right away.
Goaltender. So,
right.
Kemper's a little younger. He probably wouldn't be too unhappy to go there in a sense because he's still a number one, and actually there's nobody going to take that away from him there. So it might work out pretty good that way. I don't know if they would get much more than that since they have no leverage. And Colorado wouldn't want to keep Kemper then, I don't think, because it would be uncomfortable. Like it just would be awkward to have a, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Hey, we just traded for Fleury, who won the Vezina last year, so...
Yeah, and now you got to sit back and be a backup for the rest of it.
That's probably not going to go over real well.
I don't know. I don't know. I just would seem like it could be awkward to me. But for Giroux now, that's going to cost them. Because there's going to be I don't know. It depends also. Giroux holds the cards. Where does Giroux want to go, and how much do they want to take care of Giroux? Because they got to watch how they take care of Giroux too. He's been nothing but the exemplary player for,
and their best player,
and also exemplary. Like never a problem with Giroux. Far from it. Like never asked to move or anything like that. He's been a true Philadelphia Flyer, right?
All the way through. He's done everything they've asked him to do. They asked him to play wing, he played wing. They asked him to play center, he played center. They asked him to wear number 56, he wore number 56. You know what I mean? When he first started,
yeah, exactly.
He wore number 56, and then was able to get 28 then. But I'm going to just say this about Giroux. I appreciate his time in Philadelphia. I think he's a really solid top six center. I think he has good consistency for the most part when he's available, when he's healthy. When he's not healthy, he pushes too hard and makes bad things happen because he's pushing too hard. And goals don't come and things like that. You see what I'm saying? He has been one of the top 10 producing points players in the last 10 years. You know, I mean, he's approaching 1,000 games. He's got 800 points. He's at least worthy, I think, of a first-round draft pick.
Get more than that. It depends on.
No, but I mean, at the very least, I think
there'll be a first involved for sure, no doubt about it. And they have a little more leverage because they really don't have to trade him, I guess. I mean,
no, he has a no movement clause, so he holds all the cards.
But, I mean, they can basically say, "Look, we're keeping him unless you give us something." That's different. Like it's different than Fleury, where if Fleury decides to go somewhere, it's because he's decided to go somewhere. With Giroux,
exactly.
I think Giroux would be fine with staying in Chicago, and so they can basically go to what.
You mean Fleury staying in Chicago?
In Giroux in Philadelphia. I think Giroux is fine with.
He would be
He would be fine with that. So even if he identified one team, they can basically say we need a return or we're keeping him. So forget about it. So I think they have a little more leverage that way. In which case, like Colorado. Say if Colorado was the team that he was okay going to, which I'm not sure. I think he'd rather stay in the East, which I talked about in my Giroux trade
Yeah, but I know, and I watched that. I watched that, but here's what I'm kind of leaning towards with this whole Giroux thing. This is the first time I've really kind of said this because the time is ticking away and the sands of time are going away, and Giroux's time in Philadelphia is coming to an end. You know, he's from the Manitoba area.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So anything closer to that is going to probably be a plus in his book.
Yeah.
Because he spends the off season, and then whenever he's not in Philly for the season, he's there in Manitoba, right? That's where his family is, his wife, his kids,
Winnipeg
everything.
Would be the place then if he was going to do that, of course. But he wouldn't. They're not going to trade him to Winnipeg.
They're not. Yeah. So going to a Colorado, going to St. Louis.
It's west. It's more west.
Going
it's more west.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. Right. Even though I would love to see him in Carolina.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Carolina.
Could you imagine that
I
mess?
I love the Carolina idea, but yeah, you might be right.
Oh my gosh!
It would be beautiful for a hockey trade perspective.
That would be Cup right there.
Could be.
If you put Giroux in that
mix,
it would be I think that would
be Cup.
Closer
to it, that's for sure. Yeah. So, okay, and then finally, again, if you want to go closer to Manitoba, we can go with John Weichel here, the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's like right.
That ain't never going to happen.
Beside it.
But that's not going to happen.
Giroux, yeah. But for
Giroux,
Fleury,
no.
That's right. What am I talking about? Fleury's from Montreal.
Yeah,
He's from Quebec. So, Toronto, I mean, if flat out, if I'm Toronto, I'm doing it all day. If he wants to go to Toronto, I'm doing it all day long. Campbell, whatever you got to do. They might have a chance with Fleury. They still need defense, but.
Well, I just saw. Wait a minute. Crack research staff says that Campbell's out for the next 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, so he won't even be available at the deadline.
So Jack Campbell will be out at least 2 weeks. At least 2 weeks because of a rib injury.
Which could explain why he was doing so poorly. He might have been fighting a rib injury. And if that's the case, and they believe that's the case, they're probably just going to fly with Campbell. I personally wouldn't, but...
So that's exactly what happened as you read further on. We knew he had tweaked something a while ago or a week or so ago, and he aggravated it the other night in our game. Maple Leafs coach Sheldon Keefe said Thursday. We knew that he was uncomfortable after the game and that yesterday he wasn't feeling a lot – that yesterday that he was feeling a lot better. We sent him for some tests and found out this morning he's going to need the time. Okay, so that was from the coach quoted on the NHL.com website about Campbell being out for the next 2 weeks. So that puts that right at deadline.
Yeah, 2 weeks. It's actually past the deadline. So.
But that's what I mean. So, wow, that's an interesting move there, Pearlo. With Fleury going to Toronto.
They could still trade Campbell because he's not like it's not like he's going to be back. They could still use Campbell in that deal and bring Fleury back and whatever else. It could happen. I would if I were. I would, but I'm on the outside looking in, and from what I understand, Campbell is like beloved in that room and all that stuff like that. I mean, but you beloved.
Oh yeah.
You got to stop pucks, and they're not stopping pucks. And Mrazek.
Well, and he's also but he's also the main reason why Toronto has been as good as they have been is because of Campbell.
When he's hot, it's the inconsistency. That's the problem.
Well, they don't have the that's exactly what they don't have is that consistency.
His whole career has been that. He gets hot and then he goes so not. And then if you catch him at the playoffs hot, and he's, I don't know, feeling it or whatever it is, the voodoo is that he does when he goes on 10-game winning streaks or whatever. I don't know why you can't package that up. He'll go on a 10-game winning streak, and he's just like, this guy's going to win the business. And then all of a sudden, it's...
And then...
Puck, oh, right. Stopping pucks today. Darn it.
Oh, you got to stop the puck. Oh,
he's
well,
like that. Like he just goes. I don't know if it's confidence. I think what happens with him, he has one bad game, and it's just like it's a mental thing with him or something. I don't know.
Hey, well, we'll see. I mean, there's definitely a lot of interesting moves that could potentially happen at this trade deadline, and I'm looking at the comments here, and I'm gonna have to agree with Mark Brown. It's either gonna be a freaking madhouse, or it's just gonna be a stinker like it's been the last couple of years because of all the changing around of when the date is and all that other stuff and everything like that. So, with Fleury potentially being on the block, or rumored to be, and Giroux rumored to potentially be on the block, I think this is going to be one of the most dynamic deadlines in at least the last 2 seasons.
I think it's going to be really good. I mean, I think it's going to be good, but there are a lot of teams that would normally be in play that don't have much to give up because they're in the tail end of their rebuild, like Detroit, for instance. They don't really have a lot of veterans that they want to give away. Like Detroit's almost in a buy, would almost be more of a buyer.
But yeah, same thing with New Jersey.
Subban's gone; he'll go somewhere. But I mean, yeah, there's some teams like that. But Chicago, Montreal, and Arizona will keep it interesting. Those three are going to. Chicago is going to be a lot of people.
No, too, and I'm also going to be interested to see what the Islanders do.
Not much. I have a feeling they're not going to do that much.
You don't think so?
They're going to chalk.
Okay. I mean, I don't think Pittsburgh.
Varlamov, maybe, if anybody wants to take him, somebody like that.
Yeah, because I don't see teams like Pittsburgh or Washington or even Boston, for that matter, making any kind of moves, really.
Well, Boston, I think, will.
You think?
Yeah, they got to do something now. They got to get a center there. I don't think DeBrusk is going to go. I think they're going to keep him. Unless he can be packaged for a really good center. They need a center really bad. And they got to believe that they can win a cup because they have no choice. There's no rebuild happening there unless they don't sign Bergeron and stuff like that. So they're going to need a center. They're going to need a defenseman. I think they'll be buyers. Washington has no cap space, but they'll do a little something here and there. They're going nowhere with that goaltending, so we'll probably watch for that. But there's not much of a goaltender available out there for them. But
that's true.
Who else do you say? Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh might do something surprising. I think Pittsburgh might do something surprising. I don't know.
Maybe we'll see.
I don't know what it'll be.
They did something surprising last year, so we'll see if they do something surprising this year.
Look for Lawson Krause in Arizona. I could see them doing something like that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that. Or, you know who else might be doing something too is maybe, like I mentioned him before, St. Louis. Because I still think, even though Tarasenko has been playing really well this year, I still think he wants out.
You still think who wants out?
Isn't it Tarasenko from St. Louis?
Yeah, they're not going to trade him at the deadline, I don't think. I think that's kind of I think they've convinced him to stick around until at least the offseason.
No, I don't. Okay. All right. Well, maybe they might do something for somebody else to try to keep winning, to try to put some other people in there. They might
will do something for sure. I hear the one I hear almost clear as day is Sherratt out of Montreal.
Okay. And
that's the kind of
I knew I've been hearing stuff about St. Louis. I just wasn't sure who it was because I knew that Tarasenko wanted out, but I didn't know. I mean, obviously he's playing really well this year, so I guess he's not going to leave now.
Winnipeg might help some buyers. Mark Brown said that's true. I don't know who it would be. The hard part about Winnipeg is they're only going to trade people that are like really they think that don't really want to be there because it's hard to get people in Winnipeg, and if they want to be there, they're not going anywhere. But I could see guys like DeMello, possibly. I'm not looking it up right now, but there was talk of Shifley. I can't possibly see that happening.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. But like I mean, I agree. I think it's going to be one of those things where the deadline's going to be either really smoking hot, or it's just going to be like
maybe Andrew Kopp if they can't re-sign him. That would be interesting for a lot of people out there, for a lot of teams out there.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I was going to say something else. I just got sidetracked because of Winnipeg. Oh yes.
No.
Well, the big one just came out now, and he's having a much better. And I was sort of kind of thinking this why he had kind of a poor season so far, and then he got injured. And I was like, he was hurt. He was hurt. Jacob Chikrin in Arizona has 8 points in his last 5 games. And I think he has expressed interest in moving on from Arizona, which I don't blame him. A young player, there's a lot of. It could be a long road there in Arizona, and he really hasn't gone, played in a competitive team yet at this stage of his career, and I totally get it. But the way he's playing right now, their ask of a first and 2 top prospects is probably going to happen.
Yeah, it's a bit of a steep one there. I would have to agree with you on that one.
But it's probably going to happen.
Bit of a steep one.
It's probably going to happen. There's a lot of people that believe he's going to be in Norris conversations on a good team, and I can see that. So he's got term. He doesn't get paid all that much for a guy that is a top pairing guy. Florida, I believe, is offering Tippett in a first right now, and they're like, no, we want another prospect on top of that, which would be a good haul. I don't know. And Florida's like, no, right now they're not coughing that up right now.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you on that for sure. I just don't know. I don't have a feeling of who's going to be doing what on the trade deadline. I mean, there's a couple of teams that we talked about, but for the most part, man, I don't have a feel for this.
I think Florida is going to do that deal. I think that deal will get done at the deadline.
Okay.
I mean, it's gonna the ante's going to be starting to get. If I was St. Louis, I'd be looking at that, but I don't know if they got the pieces to be able to do it. But I think they might. From what I heard, also they were asking for Anton Lundell, and they just simply that's off the table. They won't do Lundell.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
And I get like Lundell and totally get it because my gosh, that guy's a point a game like an Aho almost could be that good.
I mean, I can understand why he's not going anywhere. So yeah, man. Here's the thing, though. This season has been quite an interesting season, I would have to say. I think we've seen a lot more wins, a lot more goals, and I think we might see a team get close to 60 wins this year.
Yeah.
I think Colorado or Carolina. Colorado's way closer,
Carolina defensively this year is just.
They have what, an 89% penalty kill? Like, are you kidding?
They are just defensively tearing teams apart. What I said about Attorney is you can apply that to Brindamore too. Brindamore knows exactly what to do against each team. They don't always do it this successfully, but most of the time they do. And that team is.
Jeez.
They were 16-1 to win the cup there for a while, and I was like, that's beautiful. You can't I could see them winning.
Yeah, the fact that they still only have Carolina out of 57 games has won 40 games. They've only lost 12 and they have a 5 overtimes, right? That's sick.
Yeah.
And then you got Florida, who's played 58 games and they've won 40. And they've only lost 13 with 5 overtimes.
Yeah.
And then you go to the big dogs. 59 games played, 41 wins. Wait for it, 13 losses.
Mm-hmm.
5 overtimes. Oh my gosh, dude. Like they could probably lose the rest of the games for the rest of the season and still make the playoffs.
Yeah. You bring up a really good point there, because I can't remember a season for a very long time, like going back to the 90s or maybe 2000s, where you really do have the haves and the have-nots this year.
Wow.
Really? Like Carolina, Florida, Colorado. We thought Vegas, but no, I don't think so. Carolina, Florida, Colorado, and Tampa.
All right, here you go. I'll give you a quick little breakdown of kind of where we're looking here as far as that's concerned. Carolina, Colorado, Florida, Tampa Bay, Toronto.
No, I don't put Toronto in there.
Okay, but they're the top 5 teams based off of the percentage.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you look at the top 4 teams, because Tampa Bay's played 57 games, they've only won 37, but they've only lost 14 and have one more extra overtime. Tampa Bay is the same thing. They've played 57 games. They've won 37 games. They've only lost 14, and they have 6 overtime losses. So Tampa Bay and Toronto have a shot, right? But Colorado, Carolina, and Florida, 57, 58, 59, 40 wins, 41 wins, 40 wins.
Yeah.
Okay.
But all of those that you just mentioned, to me, I think are cup. Well, Florida, I'm a little concerned about. I want to see Florida play a different type of game. I think they could be like what happened with Tampa with Columbus. And I picked Columbus to win that series that year for that reason. And I think Florida could be in that conversation. I'm a little concerned about the type of game they play to be able to do that in a over win 16 games in a playoff in the 7 game series.
Okay. Let me throw some Florida at you here now, okay? Last year, I think they were definitely a victim of that. Last year,
Mm-hmm.
okay? They weren't able to physically keep up,
Mm-hmm.
okay? I don't think that's the case this year. I have watched a lot of Florida games, and they are physical games.
Oh yeah.
They are one of the most. They have some of the most hits by a team is Florida.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think that what they've done is they learned that, oh, we got to do this for the postseason. I think they have the team in place to do that now.
All right.
I don't have that doubt that you do. I had that doubt last year, but I don't have that doubt this year with
I
Florida.
think if you looked at Florida last year, their hit ratio was pretty high too.
Yeah,
It's not that they're not physical. It's the sense
Right.
that it's because the style that they play, at the pace that they play, and their physicality that they play. In the playoffs, you have to learn how to play to win slow. When the gas starts running out. And I've noticed with Florida on the road, when the gas starts running out, and that's when you got to do it, they don't do it.
I've seen a couple games where they've laxed in that department.
Because they don't have a trap game to fall back on. I just like Carolina, they can play so many hybrid different ways.
Colorado's the same way too.
Tampa learned that way. Colorado is learning that way. They're learning that way. That's why they go up against teams like Arizona and they lose them, because they're really focusing on defense. And it's like, if we lose, we lose.
Right.
But I don't know. I think I would love that style for Florida that they do right now to win cups because that's the most exciting hockey to watch. Florida's exciting as heck to watch. Let's
Oh
just,
my gosh.
I mean, that is hockey right there. What everybody wants hockey to be is what Florida does.
Why do you think I've been watching Florida games this year? Of their 58 games, I probably watched half of them.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Every time I get a chance to watch Florida, I'm watching them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because Huberdeau has become one of my faves. Jonathan Huberdeau from
Oh
Florida.
yeah.
He's the
Elite.
he's the no look spinorama
Oh
pass
yeah.
assist on the tape.
If Joe Thornton was a winger,
You know.
he's unbelievable. His passing,
Right.
he goes like there's elite passers like that throughout there, and he's up there with all of them. Adam Oates,
Brindamore was one of them too.
Brindamore. Yeah, I mean I wouldn't put Brindamore to that level, but he was
Okay.
like
He was a good passer
he was
though.
at that level because of his complete game and all that kind of stuff like that. I
Yes.
still think he's the
Yes.
most underrated guy that ever played.
I
Brindamore,
agree.
and I loved him, and it's basically one of the biggest reasons I'm a Philadelphia Flyers fan today, because he's always been one. I love Brindamore.
And we thank you for that, Pearlo.
Yeah, I've always loved Brindy, but like Adam Oates comes to mind. Well, Backstrom still now.
Sakic.
Joe Sakic was more for his shot, but he was an underrated passer as well. Yeah, but those primary passers, Joe Thornton, guys like that, like he's primarily a passer and he's amazing at it. Amazing.
I'm with you.
And
I'm with you.
he's starting to shoot more now too.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So I think I agree with you though. This is the year of the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the have category, you're outside looking in.
Yeah.
Okay? And right now, the top 4 teams, Carolina, Colorado, Florida, Tampa Bay, then you got Toronto, Calgary, Rangers, Pittsburgh, Boston, St. Louis, Minnesota, Nashville, Washington, way down there, Washington. And then Vegas is way down there too. Edmonton's way down there. You know what I mean? All these other teams you would think would be better are just not. So they're kind of running away with it too. Do you know what I mean? Like you got some teams that are, in the 30s as far as wins, but once you get past that top 5, man, it's a big gap below.
Yeah. A lot of people thought Minnesota would have been there, but I didn't think so. And people were asking about people like I get people a lot messaging me asking what's Minnesota going to do, and I'm like, hopefully nothing, unless it's Fleury maybe, but even then, I wouldn't do anything because I wouldn't be giving up prospects and stuff like that. If I'm looking at Colorado and the teams that we just looked at, and I'm Bill Guerin, and I'm looking at my team in Minnesota, and I'm going, yeah, we're like not there.
Yeah, right.
And
yeah.
adding Claude Giroux does not make us there.
No.
Why would I give up a first and all of these things? And that's the way I think a lot of teams should be looking. Nashville, stuff like that. You're looking at those teams going, the odds of Nashville or Minnesota beating Colorado in a 7-game series, or Tampa, or if they happen to go that far or whatever, are so slim.
Not so good.
Personally, the way I look at it, if I was running a manager or whatever, or a group or organization that's looking at it, I personally wouldn't be a buyer unless I get out of, once you get in there, you never know category. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's
you need to get proven people coming back. You instead of, this unknown prospect or this unknown draft pick or whatever, you need to get proven commodities coming back.
Yeah, but you know what I mean by that? Like, okay, let's say Nashville makes the playoffs. They're in the, you never know category. Like, you know what I mean? Like, once you get in, you never know.
Right?
they're in
Because
that. If you're in that situation, then you're not a buyer because you're
yeah,
not
okay, I see what you're saying now. Yeah, yeah.
because if you add one piece, you still never know. The only reason, I personally only am a buyer if it's you're in the. It would be disappointing if we lost the cup category,
All right.
right? At Colorado, Carolina, Tampa Bay, possibly Florida, maybe Calgary. I love what Calgary's doing, but they don't have a second line center. I don't know. It's going to be very on paper. They're doing way better than their team is.
I mean, I just gonna have to say we're gonna have to wait to see. So, what else can you do at this point? You know what I mean? But I agree though. That if you're one of those teams where you have to, question yourself about how you're going to get into the playoffs and then what's going to happen once you're there, yeah, you have to be a buyer of something. You know what I mean? So I agree with you 100%, man. I think that's a great point too,
Yeah.
because teams do have to look at that right now. Like, where are we right now and where could we be when we get to the playoffs?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
that's what I mean. Like, yeah, for sure. If I'm that's the reason why if we're not going to have a lot of action, if we don't have a lot of action, I don't think it's going to be a crazy trade deadline, but I don't think it's going to be a terrible deadline because you've got, like I said, Chicago, Montreal, and Arizona have a lot of players to trade. They got a lot of players to trade, so that'll be.
yep.
But where it could I don't think New Jersey is really sellers except for Subban. Detroit maybe the odd guy, but those two teams are right on the precipice of being buyers. Soon.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. Have to agree with you on that for sure, man. Yeah, dude. Wow, what a great point. See, that's why you are the prognosticator, man. That's why you are the great Pearlo wisdom. All these great pearls of wisdom you keep dropping on us, man. Come on.
Yeah, just having fun and talking about hockey.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Exactly. We get a lot. I love this. Is why I love doing this because you get people in the chat like Mark Brown and Weichel and Bill and Lauren and all those guys and that
pro hockey and
they come out where I most of the time when I think about hockey way too often or way more than a human probably should, but these guys are the ones that they come up with stuff that I never thought of before, like all the time, and I think about it all the time. I know. And these guys pop off stuff that's like I never thought about that. Holy crap!
See, that's the coolest thing about this show, dude. The coolest thing about this show. I'm glad you're doing it just at least a couple of days a week. So, like I said, man, thank you very much for all you do, man. Really appreciate it. The great Pearlo wisdom, man. If you aren't following him and you ain't watching him, then y'all are missing out.
Yeah, I guess we should get point of wrapping it up now. Sunday night for sure, and I'm thinking possibly Saturday night. Saturday night, I might do a live stream either by myself or if you want to join me or whatever.
Yeah.
And just do.
Yeah, let me know.
And just do like something like we're doing right now while the game's on, and we're just talking about whatever games.
Because there's a lot of games. Yeah, there's a lot of games on Saturday. Yeah. A full slate of games.
Yeah.
On Saturday, right? Isn't there even the one of the Stadium Series games is on Saturday too, right?
Yeah. What's that?
I think so. Hold on.
Stadium game this Saturday?
I don't know. Let me check here. Hold on. Let me pull up our crack staff here. No, it's not a Stadium Series game. I'm sorry. No Stadium Series game this coming Saturday. But you have the Nashville St. Louis game is the NHL game in the afternoon, and then the Seattle Montreal game is the NHL Network game, and then the ESPN ABC game is Philadelphia Carolina.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I'm not a play-by-play person, but
But the Heritage Classic is on Sunday.
Oh, which?
And that's at 4:00.
Oh, I'm going to be doing.
That's Toronto at Buffalo.
I'm doing a stream with John Sunday evening. So.
Yeah, but you're doing the Nashville, Minnesota game, though, right?
I'm doing Colorado, Calgary, I believe.
Oh, you're doing the Wait a minute. Let me scroll. Oh yeah. Okay, Colorado, Calgary. Oh boy, that's. Ooh.
Yeah, that's why I wanted.
That's gonna be a good flapping game.
That's what I wanted to do that because it's Colorado, Calgary, man. That's.
I've been watching a lot of Colorado games too.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, I'll tell you what, they got a sick team, man. Holy smokes.
Oh,
all right, I'll be tuning in.
Brown brought up a good point. See, this is what it's all about right here. Seattle will be bestsellers on that as well.
Oh yeah, easy.
Seattle will be selling off.
I would love for Seattle to be one of my favorite teams because I love their white jerseys. They just are the sickest looking jerseys I think on the planet.
Everybody talks about their jerseys. They love their jerseys. It's going to go down as like the Hartford Whalers jerseys of old.
Right. Yeah. Okay. The one jersey that never goes away, right?
Whalers of this generation, Seattle Kraken.
Yes, I'm with you. But I really want to like this team. I really do. I really want to follow this team. I really want to be, rooting for this team, but I just can't with Dave Hackstall as coach.
Right? Yeah. Well, he's not getting the best out of this bunch, so you might have had a point.
Nope.
You might have had a point.
Nope. But. So, look, I saw enough of him in Philly, and I knew, I was like, when I heard that they were going to hire him as their coach, I was just like, wow, you guys really don't want to win, do you? Because he's not the coach that's going to help you win. He's not even going to develop your players because he couldn't keep the same lines together for any set period of time while he was in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Exactly. He never had a consistent set of lines every single night. Like you go into Colorado and you see the same guys on the same line every night. You go into Florida and you see the same guys on the same line every night. What? It's not rocket science here, folks.
Funny because
that's the only.
I don't know. I think Seattle keeps the lines. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, they missed him around too, but I mean, you got to have some kind of chemistry, and the only way you can do that is by playing together for a length of time. And Hackstall never did that with his players. He would get a couple of guys playing together, and they would start to come good, and then boom, he'd break them up. Yeah. It's like, what are you doing?
Anyways, buddy, I gotta go, and I just. Mark was asking how he can get on.
All that, yeah.
Steel Flyers on YouTube. I should have had your link up there, but check them out, Steel Flyers, and the website, of course, Steel Flyers All Sports Network, right there, as it says right there.
Yeah, man.
Go check that out as well.
For sure.
You guys, thank you very much for coming. I'll see if I'm back on Monday. Everything is I'm doing a lot of stuff right now, so I'm trying to fit you in when I can. But I'll be on Saturday. You got Friday night. Of course, everybody in the land is going to be watching Off the Wall Hockey Show.
Off the Wall Hockey.
Friday night,
8 o'clock.
6 o'clock. Yeah, good. You subscribed. 6 o'clock my time. Check it out. All right, Steele, thanks for coming on,
Thank you, Mark.
buddy.
Appreciate it, everybody. Thank you, Lauren. Great seeing Lauren. Great seeing everybody back here. Mark.